These are, of course, serious times, and not one anchor we have seen is willing to follow their reporting up with the facts. What is or can President Biden do because he calls Vladimir Putin a war criminal? The simple answer is President Biden can't do anything, nor can the International Criminal Court. Vladimir Putin doesn't care. That's the power of 6,500 nuclear weapons that Vladimir Putin has, and he knows it. Colby Hall, Mediaite founding editor, NewsNation producer, with us now. Why this obsession with something that isn't going to happen and doesn't matter?
It's a great question. I think it's a easy meme that sounds awful. I'm no military expert, and so, war criminal means that you've broken sort of accepted rules of engagement in war.
Well, yeah, however, it means you've targeted civilians. It means you've tortured people. It means you've done all these things, which, sure, Slobodan Milosevic and some other people were dragged before the Hague, but the justice, the justice Russians worry about is far less dainty than the Hague.
I can't imagine someone serving Putin a process letter saying, we're suing you for war crimes. So no, I think you're right. I don't think that this is going to really directly affect Putin at all. I think the message, however, is more of an indirect one. And when you hear these people talk about war crimes and whether he's a war criminal, it's really about rallying, or it's an easy way to paint Putin in a more clearer light to sway a public opinion. So war criminal leads you to Milosevic or Hitler or all these things. He's not just like a dictator doing bad things. He's a dictator doing war crimes and killing infants and innocent civilians. And it's a way to sort of rally, bipartisan level, people to get behind and say, okay, so this is, as you said perfectly, serious time. And it makes all the other media
it would make sense, though, if he hadn't done it so many times before and nobody cared.
You're right, and we didn't really pay that close attention. I mean, I guess most recently he did this in Aleppo, right, in Syria, but that was under the pretext of clearing out ISIS, which sounded good to us. It sounded good to me, and of course there was lots of horrible things, but we turned, a blind eye to it. But you're absolutely right. He's got a horrible history of doing really bad things. I don't think that he's gone quite this far.
Hold on. I mean, in Syria, he gassed people, and he certainly didn't gas ISIS at the time. So we're looking sort of at the various pictures of all the places that he's done this in. In Chechnya, he certainly did it. His security services were responsible for bombing apartment buildings in his own capital.
I'm not going to argue what he's doing is I
understand. But you make a good point that it sort of becomes this catch-all phrase, and it's like, okay, it gives President Biden an excuse for being strong, and this is this rallying cry. But it goes back, there seems to be this lack of sort of questioning the narrative and why things matter and what bad things could happen during this war, especially when you listen, for example, to folks talking about a no-fly zone in the sort of crazy narrative. Why isn't there a no-fly zone? Take a listen.
Okay, so they won't stop importing Russian oil, and they won't even have a no-fly zone?
Why rule out the no-fly zone? Why not make Putin think it's possible?
Now, the argument against the no-fly zone is, look, you're going to end up with World War III. And I wonder, looking back on, say, World War II with Poland, you saw France and Britain really doing the bare minimum. And ultimately, we see Poland becomes the invasion of Poland by the Nazis and then the Soviets becomes this gateway to World War II.
Is there not enough sobriety of what could happen if we keep arming the Ukrainians and do more and have a no-fly zone?
I mean, this is the age of sort of bullet pointing, sort of very complicated issues, right? I saw former Ambassador McFaul put it, I think, well. I said, let's stop calling it a no-fly zone. Let's call it the start of a war against Russia, because a no-fly zone means that we're shooting down Russian jets.
It's a great point, but why doesn't the media call it that?
Well, I mean, because I think it's candidly, a lot of people in the media are lazy. They hear the no-fly zone and they just sort of repeat it. The other issue I think that Brianna Keeler brought up there is, this warning of World War III. We're already at war, right? I mean, not the United States. World War III, there was Axis and Allies. There was two clear sides, and I don't really, I think World War III is a shorthand for, the fear of nuclear war. It's not so much World War III because Russia doesn't really have any allies right now.
Except for China.
It's just that well, they're playing both sides. They're not truly allies, but they haven't really gone all in. They're keeping their power to, well, I mean, they're playing both sides. They don't want to destabilize, but that's again a very complicated conversation. The real issue is that Putin seems to be lost his marbles and he's in possession of nuclear weapons. And that's the game changer, right? That's the thing that makes us all act very, very cautiously because we don't want to be carrying around potassium tablets because of radiation.
And it goes to this question when you talk about, do we give the MiGs to Ukraine, whether or not the MiGs can be flown, whether or not there's pilots, whether or not there's fuel, all these other questions that don't seem to be asking. Colby, somebody who always does ask the questions, we appreciate it, my friend. It's good to see you. Thanks for watching. Click the red subscribe button below so you can get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.